Hello and welcome to Model Predictive Control course. In this week, we are going to look at some of the more practical approaches for implementing linear quadratic optimal control. Before we go on to that, I will recap what we have been doing in the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks back, we started with linear time invariant systems, LTI systems, and how to analyze the linear systems. Okay, these were the two different approaches in order to determine whether the system is controllable or not. First one is based on the controllability Gramian, which we build in this particular way. And if the rank of that Gramian is equal to n, it's a full rank, then the system is controllable. We also looked at the Hautus condition to determine whether the system is controllable, and if not controllable, whether it is at least stabilizable or not. Okay. Likewise, there's a parallel concept of observability, and we have observability Gramian, which is formed in this particular manner. And if the rank of the observability Gramian is equal to n, the system is observable. And same likewise, we can actually use the Hautus condition to determine whether the system is observable or not. But more importantly, the question that we try to discuss is, what does controllability and observability imply? Okay, controllability basically means that, let's say we start with some initial state x naught. Okay, is it possible to bring this system from an arbitrary x naught to the origin in finite number of steps k? Okay, can we determine u0, u1 up to uk so that the state xk comes back to the origin in finite number of steps and not in an asymptotic manner? Okay, that is about the controllability. What about observability? Observability asks a reverse question. Let's say we do not know the initial state x naught. Okay, there's no way for us to know the initial state x naught, but we keep measuring the outputs y0, y1, y2, y3 up to yk. Can we, from all these outputs, k outputs, can we uniquely determine where we started off at? What was the initial state x naught where we started? And that's the question that observability asks. Okay, controllability and observability are extremely important concepts, and some of you in your assignment problem also saw the importance of controllability. For example, what you saw was, when the system was uncontrollable, you could not place all the poles at the locations that you wanted. Maximum number of poles that you could place for an uncontrollable system was equal to the size of the controllable subspace only. When it comes to the controller, we talked about a deterministic linear control, and because it's a linear control, the control actions U depend on L. Okay, this is also called as state feedback. Okay, because the system that we are talking about has, this is the input and this is the state X, and the controller takes the state as our input and determines the control action. We did a bunch of analysis of the deterministic controller. We talked about the deadbeat control, pole placement control, and so on, and we determined the overall criteria to ensure that this controller is stable. The criteria for controller to be stable is that the eigenvalues of the matrix A minus BL should lie within the unit disk. At the end of the day, where we place the poles is fairly arbitrary. Instead, we want to place the poles in a best possible manner in a quadratic sense, and that led us to what is known as linear quadratic regulator. We talked about linear quadratic regulator in two cases. One is the infinite horizon case, where the objective function is summation xi transpose qxi plus ui transpose r ui, where I is going from 0 to infinity. Okay, so that is why this was an infinite horizon case, because we let the system, we let the controller go from 0 to infinity, or conversely we can say I goes from k to infinity as well. Okay. On the other hand, we had finite horizon case where we had summation I equal to 0 to p minus 1 xi transpose q xi plus ui transpose r ui. This is the summation of stage wise cost, and plus there's a terminal cost xp transpose ut xp. Okay, so we talked about infinite and finite horizon cases, and then we did the derivation for the infinite horizon case, and the derivation for infinite horizon case led us to this algebraic Riccati equation. Okay, this algebraic Riccati equation can be solved in order to obtain our S infinity matrix and our L infinity. Okay, once S infinity and L infinity are known, the implementation of control is quite easy because uk at any point of time can be written as L infinity multiplied by xk, which is going to give us an infinite horizon optimal control. Okay. On the other hand, we can look at an equivalent finite horizon case. The Riccati difference equation starts with S0 equal to Qt, and our cost function is going to be equal to xp transpose S0 xp. From S0, we can use the Riccati difference equation called RDE, Riccati difference equation, to get S1 equal to A transpose S0A plus Q minus A transpose S0B, B transpose S0B plus R inverse B transpose S0A. Okay, then we can use the same equation all over again to get from S1 to get S2, from S2 to get S3, and so on up to getting SP. Okay, and I will write this in the form Si plus 1 equal to Si. I'll replace S0 with Si, this with Si, and I will replace this with Si, and this becomes a finite horizon LQR. Okay, finite horizon LQR in and of itself is not so interesting, except for the fact that it has equivalence between MPC, which we are going to talk about in the next week. Okay, and again, to implement the infinite horizon LQR, we use these two equations to obtain S infinity and L infinity, and in MATLAB you can use either the IDARE, which is the discrete algebraic Riccati equation command, or you can use DLQR in order to obtain the gain L infinity. In the previous week, we moved on to estimation problem, and when it came to estimation, we first defined random variables and stochastic processes. We defined what do we mean by white noise sequence, we defined what is colored noise, we defined what is integrating white noise, and we looked at some of the properties of the white noise. For example, an important property of white noise is that the expectation is uncorrelated in time. We talked about a deterministic observer. What's the idea of observer is you use the model predictions as shown over here. So this is the overall model prediction equation. The problem with the model prediction is that there might be errors, or we may not know x naught correctly. So therefore we need to do some kind of a correction. How do we need to do that correction? By using the error in the measured and the predicted value, or y is the measured value and c multiplied by x hat is the predicted value. Okay, and the correction that we are going to say is linearly proportional to this error, and this L is known as the estimator gain. Okay, and we have done a bunch of simple math to actually show that the stability of the observer can be determined by eigenvalues of A minus LC matrix. Okay, and we can determine where best to place the A minus LC poles in order to have pole placement observer. Okay, thereafter we talked about stochastic case, and in the stochastic case we spoke about a specific case where epsilon and mu are both white noise sequences. Stochastic filter equations come in two parts. One is model prediction and second is correction. Okay, the observer in stochastic case can be applied either in filter mode or in predictor mode. In filter mode, we apply first predictor to go from past to current, which means our x hat k at k minus 1 is going, so this prediction equation we will use it for one step in the past, so it is going to be x hat k minus 1 at k minus 1 plus BUK minus 1, and then we will use the correction or filter, which is going to be x hat k at k equal to the equation that is shown over here. Okay, in the predictor mode, we first do the correction, okay, and then predict one step in the future. So we first apply the correction equation that is written over here, and then we substitute the value of this correction equation over here. When we do that substitution, the predictor mode, we are going to get x hat k plus 1 at k is going to be equal to a x hat k at k minus 1, okay, plus ak multiplied by yk minus c x hat k at k minus 1. I've just substituted this particular equation over here, so that's what you get, and then the second term is plus BUK. Okay, so this is the predictor mode. Okay, so you can either use it in the filter mode or you can use it in the predictor mode, and if k is our filter gain, k bar k is our predictor gain, one step predictor gain. So this is also something that we discuss, and then we derive what is going to be the Kalman filter gain and how the covariance matrices evolve over time. Okay, the prediction equation and the estimation or the correction equations remain the same as we had discussed before, but now what we have is we have the calculation for the Kalman filter. Okay, that calculation first involves calculation of one step prediction covariance, then we calculate the Kalman gain, and then we calculate the filter error covariance. Okay, alternatively, we can run this in a one step predictor mode, and in one step predictor mode, as you can see, this particular equation for the one step predictor is exactly same as what we had written over here. Okay, there's no difference between these equations, but in order to calculate or in order to do this corrections, you require AK, which is equal to k bar, and k bar can be obtained from algebraic Riccati equation exactly in the similar manner as we had discussed for LQ control. And the way you can do this is using IDARE command or Kalman command in MATLAB. Okay, so these were the things that we talked about. And finally, let me come to what are the issues that we are going to cover in this module. And this is based on the several questions that several of you have asked in the past 2 weeks. One of the questions that you have asked is, in LQ control, we are trying to get xk from an arbitrary point to the origin. Okay, that's the regulation problem. However, the question is, if we want to take the system from an origin to a particular set point, how do we do that? Secondly, if there is a disturbance that you need to reject, how can you do that? Okay, so one of the things that we will talk about is modifications to LQR in order to achieve this. The second set of questions that you asked last week was, what if the noise models are non-white? How do you know that epsilon and nu are going to be white noise? Actually, that's a very good question. Epsilon and nu are usually not white. So what you actually have is xk plus 1 equal to axk plus buk plus, let's call bwwk, and we have yk equal to cxk plus dwwk plus nu k, where wk are non-white. Okay, in that case, how do we modify the Kalman filter in order to handle non-white noise sequences? This is the other thing that we are going to consider. Modifications, modify Kalman filter to take care of this. And finally, start my next lecture on this particular point is the output feedback case. Now, what is the output feedback case? Is this is you have u, you have x, and then you have your measurement equation where you get y. Okay, what we talked about in the LQR part is basically this particular connection, but in most real system X is not measurable. What is measurable is just the output Y. Okay, so if we measure output Y, we can use some kind of an estimator in order to determine X hat, and information vector, I will just call that I hat. We can use this and pass it on to some kind of a controller. Controller takes our X hat information and I hat information and computes the input U. So how do we do that is LQG, or linear quadratic Gaussian, for a linear system with Gaussian white noise, and that is the first thing that I'm going to start this particular week's lectures with. Okay, so with that I come to the end of